Three, two, one, go.
13% of Americans go camping every year. And out of those 13%, 3,800 get injured building fires. And how they get injured? Most of the time, it's by not making fire correctly or doing it in space and being stupid about it, pretty much. I spent 3 years in Boy Scouts learning how to make fires and going camping with my stepdad a lot. So I know how to make a decent fire. There's a 3-step process on how to go about making a fire that's a safe, family-friendly, and non-environmentally critical way. Anyway, first thing is you need to gather materials. You have 3 materials you need to get: tinder, kindling, and logs, like fuel source. The first thing is tinder. This can be anything from grass, twigs, something like that. Like it should, like, even you can use even paper. If you really want to go about it, you can use paper, something that is easily flammable and lights pretty quickly. This grass is not really a good example because it's green. You really want the grass to be like kind of like dried out. Better in the fall than in the summer or spring when like the grasses are dying. So it's not really a great time in the summer to use grass. However, I am using this as an example in case you are going camping during the winter and fall. So you want your tinder is something that lights up. You're supposed to just light it up, and you can also use rope, like hemp rope, to pull it, string it apart. That we use. That's what we use in Boy Scouts. It's much easier than using any kind of natural tinder you can find. However, this is what we got. You can also use dried leaves. Don't make sure it's actually dried and not living, because again, it smells bad and it doesn't really light at all. So, the second thing you need is kindling, which can be anything from like twigs, cardboard if need be. If you really want to go to survival and you have some cardboard, it works. Not as well as twigs, obviously, but it works. It kind of speeds up the process of increasing the fire, increasing the build. The tinder gets it started, but the kindling kind of builds your fire where you want it to be. And as it builds, there's a third thing you need, and that's a bigger fuel source than the tinder or kindling. And these are obviously fake logs. However, we're going to use them today, and these are bigger than kindling. And as the fire keeps going, as long as you want, you keep adding those logs to the fire. So once you have your materials, it's good to start out making the area where you want to put it in. You want to clear an area, like a fire pit. This is a good fire pit. It's a circular area, has rocks in your fire pit. You don't want anything flammable in the fire pit. You want basically a pretty big area of just dirt or rocks or something that isn't flammable, that can't get caught. The first thing you do is you take your tinder, you can break it up, and you put it in the middle, like this. You put it in the middle of the fire pit. Also, you don't want to do it in an area where it's all dried out, like really dried area. You want to make sure there's an overhang where the smoke can reach the sky, because it doesn't much heat. You want to make sure the area around you is pretty moist. You don't want to go out camping and build a fire when it's really dry, because that can lead to a lot of forest fires and all that. So when you have your tinder, you kind of make a teepee, or try to. I can't really do it, but try to make a teepee or some sort of structure around that tinder so it gets started. So yeah, you put the kindling on, and you light it, and as it starts to build, it gets bigger and bigger, and then you add the fuel sources, it gets bigger, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this whole time, you want to make sure that it's inside the fire pit and not out. No logs are hanging out of the fire pit. You want them to stay contained in the fire pit. And then when you're done, this is the most important part, is putting it out. Well, there's 2 ways to putting out a fire. Usually some water, or you scatter it and you decrease the oxygen consumption of the fire. The best way is probably water, because scattering, yeah, you can scatter it and you'll get most of it out. However, there'll still be some embers down there that you can't really see. So water is the best way to do it. It's the quickest, best. Also, but if you're planning to do another fire, it's not a great choice because it kind of ruins the fire pit, because you can't really light another fire when it's wet. So scattering is the best option if you're gonna make another fire. But if you're putting out for the night, definitely put some water on it. So yeah, putting it out is the most important part. You want to leave it like the fire pit the way you found it. You don't want to leave it like all and like with a bunch of embers, or just put water on it and call it done. You have to basically take out all the things you made a fire pit. Take out all the rocks you put around like the fire pit you make out. You're supposed to put it all where you found it. So as I said before, 13% of Americans go camping every year, and about 3,800 injuries happen because of this. Most people do not know how to make a fire. Most people don't know how to contain a fire, like details how to making a safe, family-friendly fire. So next time when you go out camping, make sure you do it in a safe way, but making a contained fire that doesn't get out of control.